It's my pleasure to learn with you again. Let's continue our lesson about adverbs. Now we will talk about adverbs of time and frequency. Adverbs of time first. They are used to tell the time and the duration of an activity or event. The first we will talk about positioning. Commonly, the position of the adverbs is at the end of a sentence. I visited the most beautiful island in Indonesia last month. This area will be crowded by tourists soon. So last month and soon are put at the end of the sentence. I want to remind you that when we talk about adverb of time, you must consider also the tense of the sentence. Of course, we cannot say, I will visit the most beautiful island in Indonesia last month, because last month is the adverb of time to show the event in the past. Okay. When put at the front due to an extra emphasis, they are usually offset by a comma, although sometimes it is not necessary. Like, next year they are going to hold an exhibition for their paintings. The adverb emphasizes on a point in time, that is, next year. Concerning the position, we have special exceptions for some adverbs like later. Let's see the examples of the position of later in the sentences. The administrator will check the needed data later. No emphasis. Later, the administrator will check the needed data. This emphasizes on the time, later. The administrator will later check the needed data. The position is before the main verb. So it shows the sequence of events to someone else, because perhaps there were or there are some activities before. So again, it shows or reports the sequence of events. And then the next is yet. Yet is used in negative sentences or in questions. The decision hasn't been announced yet. The director has not yet responded to our proposal. What is the difference between the two sentences? Of course, the position of yet. When you have the abbreviation of not, you put yet at the end. While if you want to put not in your negative sentence, you put yet after the not. Has a system to be used been decided yet? So it is in a question. Yet is put at the end of the sentence. Okay, now yet with auxiliary verbs. It is used in positive sentences commonly, but it shows future possibility. The difference is meaning from the previous yet, the previous examples with yet, because as I told you that in the previous examples, I hope that you still remember, yet is always used in present perfect or in perfect tense. That's why when we use yet with auxiliary verbs, it shows the future possibility. Due to the foreign investment, this region's economy may yet improve well. So there is a possibility for this region's economy to improve well. Another example, we have yet to consider regulating the foreign investment. We have the auxiliary verb of have to, but look at the position. We don't use we have to yet, but we have yet to consider. Okay. The other one is still. Still is to describe something that is continuously happening. See the examples. Are the managers still having a meeting right now? The position of still is before the main verb. He is still not aware of causing this problem. If you use negative, if you use it in negative sentence, put still before not. The workers are still waiting for the good news from the director. So the position is before the main verb, like in the question. Okay. The next is the example with auxiliary verbs. Due to the foreign investment, this region's economy may still improve well. So still and yet here, yet and then still are have the same meaning, that is to show future possibility. So when you use yet or still with auxiliary verbs, it shows future possibility. Okay, the next positioning is with adverbs of duration for and since. For with words specifying a length of time. Many productive people have been unemployed for 2 years. For 2 months, the cooking oil has disappeared from the market. So you can put it at the end or at the beginning of the sentence. Again, when you put it at the beginning of the sentence, it means that you want to emphasize the duration. You can put a comma here. And then with since followed by specific point of time. The economic issues have been our greatest concern since 2 years ago. So since 2 years ago. See, again, I want to remind you that after for and since, the words are different. 2 years and 2 years ago. 2 years shows a length of time, while 2 years ago shows the specific point of time. You can put since at the beginning of the sentence, but of course, the word since functions as conjunction. That's why it is followed by a sentence, the pandemic subject, and began the predicate. So it is called, since the pandemic began, function as the subclause. That's why, again, if you want to use since as preposition, put it at the end. But when you want to use since as the conjunction, you can put it at the beginning of the sentence or before the main sentence, or you can put it after the main sentence. Okay, the next is inversion after negative time adverbials. Few economists learn about the social phenomenon in this region. Only later did they realize. So see the construction. It is the same as the construction of a question where the position of the subject is after the auxiliary. So it is called inversion because their position, the subject and the auxiliary is inverted. I have 2 other examples. That is, at no time did the manager consent to others' opinion in a meeting. Not until 2015 did the region's economy grow. So they are in inversion. Okay. Some students are still confused about the meaning of some adverbs like soon versus early. Early refers to before the expected of or required time, while soon shows a future time frame within or in a short time. So see the examples. If some regions could have managed the severe impact of the pandemic to their economy earlier, the unemployment rate wouldn't be so high. Earlier, in this sentence, the sentence shows, or the adverb of time shows that it is before the expected time. If it had been done before the expected time. And then the example for soon, there will be some revisions on the economic regulation soon due to the worst condition of some sectors. because soon shows a future time frame, it's better for you to use the tense, the present future tense. So the sentence will be here. Okay, and then the next is any longer, any more, and no longer. Any longer and any more are synonyms, so they are interchangeable. This country doesn't have internal political enemies that hinders its growth anymore or any longer. And then, this country no longer has internal political enemies that hindered its growth. So, you can see here that the difference between any more and any longer with no longer. So, the first is the position. Any more and any longer is at the end. No longer is before the main verb. And then the second, if you use any longer or any more, your sentence must be in negative. But if you use no longer, the sentence is in positive. But both sentences have the same meaning. The meaning is in negative. I hope that you remember this one. Okay, now we go to adverbs of frequency. They are used to tell how often something happens or is the case. Adverbs frequency are grouped into two: adverbs of definite frequency and adverb of indefinite frequency. Adverb of definite frequency describes a specific or exact range of time, like every minute, every hour, weekly, etc. The director of retail marketing checks the execution of the programs weekly. So weekly, the adverb, it modifies verb, that is to check. While if you have this sentence, the weekly report helps to ensure the success of the programs. It functions as adjective because it modifies the noun, that is report. The position is before the noun. So be careful with this kind of definite frequency because it can function as adverb or it can function as adjectives. Okay, the example of adverbs the examples of adverbs of indefinite frequency are usually, occasionally, seldom, etc. See the example. The position is mostly at before the verb it modifies. Since his responsibility is overseeing day-to-day management of fund, business, and operation, he seldom has time to take leisure. So, the position here is before the main verb. He seldom has. But they can also appear at the beginning or at the end of a sentence. The vice president visits her employee's house to keep good relationship with them sometimes. Usually, the boss is served a light meal menu by her employees when visiting their home, yet she quite enjoys it. So, again, when you want to put the adverb at the beginning of the sentence, it means that you want to emphasize the frequency of the action. Okay. For the adverb of the indefinite frequency, you can have it in a form of prepositional phrase like this. On some occasions or from time to time, you can put it at the front. Sometimes people use comma, or it is not necessary to put the comma there. So it's up to you. And then, okay, the next, if we talk about negative frequency adverbs, we should pay attention on the sentence structure because it changes. Actually, it is the same as inversion, or it is one of inversions. Never will a director have a good empathy. if he or she doesn't build a good relationship with his or her employees. So never here is negative frequency adverb. That's why you can see here will and a director, the subject and the auxiliary are inverted. So it is called inversion. And we can also use adverb of indefinite frequency with the verb be. It means that the sentence is a non-verbal sentence. Failure in business is often the case. The impact of the failure is always stressful. You can see here, because it is non-verbal, you can have this with the noun, and you can have the complement of to be here with the adjective. So the position is after the to be, is. But look at the next two examples. The service in some cheap homestays rarely is satisfying. What our president does always is the journalist's main target. The position is before the be because we want to emphasize the be. So if you want to emphasize the be, you can put the indefinite frequency before the verb be. Okay, so let's do some exercises. I have 10 sentences and correct it what I mean. It means that all of the sentences are wrong. The business, okay, number 1, the business affairs have yet been in his prime concern. It's 1. Okay. Why? Because yet is always used in negative or questions. That's why you need not here. Number 2, we don't yet find a good prospect at this company. As I told you that we talk about adverb of time. It means that we must be careful with the tense of the sentence. That's why it should be have not yet found. Okay, number 3, it is recommended for the job seekers always to search for information about the company they want to work at. Yes. The position, it should be, it is recommended for the job seeker to always search for information. So the position is after to. It is different from what I told you before with the modal auxiliary have to, because have to is a modal auxiliary, while now we don't talk about the modal auxiliary, but we talk about to infinitive. So if you have to infinitive, put the word always after to. Okay, number 4, the inflation has slowed a bit for last year. Last year. Remember that for is followed by is followed by or specifies a length of time. That's why we cannot have last year, because last year is specific point of time. That's why you can choose since last year, or you have for a year. Okay, number 5. The gas prices fell to the crucial point in December for a week. What's wrong? Of course, the order. When you want to use more than one adverb of time and adverb of frequency, you must have the proper order. So the first is duration, and then frequency, and then certain points of time. Because we have only 2, here is duration and certain points of time. So we have for a week first, and then followed by the point of time that is in December. Okay, continue to number 6. Some digital companies lose their customers' trust and cannot no longer operate their services. What's wrong? Of course, this one. Because there are 2 negatives here. When you have 2 negatives, in one sentence like this, it means that the meaning is positive. If you expect to have the negative meaning, surely you have this one, can no longer, so you must use the positive. Okay, the next is number 7. Monthly, the personnel manager updates the progress of the new employees. Monthly, the definite frequency. You must have it at the end. You may not put it at the beginning. So, the personnel manager updates the progress the new employees monthly. Okay, number 8. Seldom the professional one working in a digital company makes a technical mistake. Okay, correct, seldom, because seldom is negative frequency adverbial. That's why you must invert the subject and the auxiliary. Seldom does the professional one working in a digital company make a technical mistake, because this is a sentence in simple present. We use does, and don't forget that you must have the base form of the verb make without s. Okay, number 9. As we want to have a big leap in economy, we will have to change our old system early. Which one? Of course, this one. According to the meaning, we can see that it is not about an activity that refers to before the expected or required time, but it shows a future time. That's why we don't use early, but the word soon. Okay, number 10. The customer satisfaction is our priority always. Yes, the position of always. Because it is non-verbal, we use the verb be. We must put the always after be. So, the customer satisfaction is always our priority. Or you can put it before to be if you want to emphasize the verb be. Okay, I think it's enough. I hope that you can understand how, especially to put the adverb of time